I really like the way your mind works.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment. You know the police are looking for you.
Well, they're not going to find me, not till I get some answers. What do they got?
Hey Yuri, welcome to your eCritique. Congratulations on winning the 11-second club for May. My name's Leigh Rens. I'm a mentor here at Animation Mentor, and I'm also a veteran animator with a couple of decades of experience. I also do layouts and also do a bit of storyboarding. The last 3 projects I've worked on, I'm currently working on the SpongeBob movie. Previous to this, I was working on, let me see if I can remember correctly, the Doolittle movie with the new Dr. Doolittle movie with Robert Downey Jr., and previous to that was the Jumanji movie, and previous to that was Angry Birds, and previous to that was some Disney stuff, their legacy projects for Tinkerbell. So a bunch of different projects. My previous part of my career was spent in animation, doing a bunch of different things. And probably my last animation project was about a year ago, working for Universal Creative on Secret Life of Pets for their theme park division. So I was a lead animator on there. So I kind of switch hats every now and then between layouts and animation, and I also do a bit of storyboarding. So that's me in a nutshell. If you are curious, probably not. I think you're more curious about what we have to say about your work. This is a fantastic piece of animation. Super, super impressed with it, and I think you did a fantastic job. Cool. And you beat out tons of people. These are the amazing thing about 11-second club is there's probably hundreds of people that you're competing against. So to win a 11-second club is a big deal, in my opinion. I think it's a big deal. So congrats once again. Cool. So unfortunately, the first part of this eCritique was cut off. So I'm just recording this little piece up front just to explain where it is and where you come in on the rest, on the remainder of that critique, so you don't miss anything. So essentially speaking, I think you've got 3 shots here, and I mentioned the layout as probably the first part. 1, 3. Wow, it's a bit loud, sorry. So it's the third shot, which is going to be this shot here, where the stroller's way in the bottom here. And I make a request. So essentially speaking, if you're thinking of layout, just to fill you in on this, what you want to be thinking of is staging. Essentially the same as if you were staging a play on a stage. That's where the word comes from. We want to stage the action so that it's absolutely clear to the audience. And in this case, it's actually part of the editing and the staging that we wanted to flow a bit more. So essentially you start out with the first shot, the head's kind of small in the center of frame, then it goes big to the side, and then it comes down to the very bottom of frame. And we want to shift that over so that you get, on the cut, you get the pop of movement to flow correctly. So that's where we come in. That's where I was when the first part of that critique was cut out. So that's where we come in, and you'll see on the critique you've got those circles drawn in there that explain what I was getting at in terms of shifting it over. Second note on that layout is actually to clear that side of the screen. That creates an expectation on the audience. You've got both characters looking in that direction. That sets up something to come into frame, which is the police car. So it's just cleaning that up, making that staging unmistakably, simply clear. If you can go for something that is simple and clean, it reads, your audience gets it, and it just plays a lot stronger. So that's the idea behind that note. Cool, man. With this, I'll leave you, and you move on to the rest of the critique as it stands. Cool, man. Cheers. So going into that movement works really well if we were to move it. Now, there's another reason for that as well that we want to do, right? So if we place that there, if we place this over here, just scroll back a little, get to that frame. I'm going to switch colors. So if we have this, if we have the stroller over here, for example, right? That's where he's going to be, and we place her, as the handles of the stroller or whatever it is, and she's over here. face is over here, you know. So that places her over there. And if I just erase this, boom, 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 and this, make a really big brush here. Right. I'm just going to black her face out here over here. Right. So if we switch to that composition, what that's going to set up is it's going to set up this space here. You're going to have a whole bunch of space over here. You're essentially going to have this block of space over here. And this is the second part of that layout thing. This is going to set up an expectation of something coming into that space, and that's going to be the police car that comes into frame. Right. And also in the States we actually drive on the right-hand side. The right-hand side of the street if we're heading in that direction. I mean, it could be a one-way street, so it doesn't really matter, but it's just nice to have that space, have that police car come through there. And then if we cut to your final one, it would fit as well, but you could shift this one over slightly, a little bit more as well. So you could actually have him more in center of frame a little bit, just a little bit. So I would shift, if I was to pick this up, I'd just shift this over here, you know, and he would end up over here somewhere. So that's kind of what I do for layout changes. Okay, cool. So that's my take on those few things. My next thing is if I hit play. So I'm treating this as if it were my own shot, right? If I was, what can I do? And the way I think is, what can I do just to plus this, just to level it up, just to bring it that one little step, you know, closer. So there's two more things to go here. The one thing is going to be some body mechanics, and it's got to do with her walk. So, and it's shape stuff as well. So where she steps here is, I don't think she's taking a big enough stride, and her leg's not straight. So you want a straight to bend to feel the mechanics. That's part of the mechanics of a walk cycle. So what I do here is I'm just going to come in here. I'd straighten that leg out, right? Okay, and I'm just going to step forward here. I'm going to take onion skinning off, so we don't need that anymore. Just bear with me, because I want to just take a few minutes just to paint this, and it'll make a difference. You'll notice a difference. So, you know, and it's just to get this stride as she comes around the corner, because we don't see her face, but we definitely will feel. And you've got a really nice energy about her walk cycle. I really like it quite a bit. It's just some of the mechanics just needed to be sorted, you know. It's made a little okay, and then we've also got this here. Like, again, we'd want, she's stepping, so we'd want that leg to be straight as she steps out, right? So here you'd want to just get rid of this black shape at the bottom here, so you feel that she's actually placing her leg behind the stroller. So small thing there. Okay, so that's the one mechanics thing. So this would also be shape-wise, we would want the leg to come in. So let's just tap this again. Oh, yeah. Okay, so what we're after here is we're after her leg coming in this way, and that leg coming in that way. Right. At the moment, what you've got is you've got this leg almost vertically straight, and then this leg skew. So it just, well, not skew, but I mean it's two legs straight like that, and we actually want them to come in. So she's more. It's more of a feminine style of walking. And what that's got to do with is it's got to do with tracking. So I'm going to go to a little bit of an explanation here. Is there's a difference between guys' walks and girls' walks, obviously, because guys do not walk like girls, or girls do not walk like guys, generally speaking. Obviously, you have flavors in between. You'll get some girls that will walk like guys, some guys that will walk like girls. It's just, and all the all the flavors in between that as well. But for general, if you're talking about a generalization that you want a vanilla girl walk or vanilla guy walk, there's the strong difference is going to be in where the body actually shifts its weight. In guys, it's in the upper shoulder. So we pendulum from our belly, from our hips. If that's our anchor point, we pendulum like this. For girls, it's from the sternum, which is almost the center of the body, and they swing their hips almost like a pendulum in a way. So that's the reason for that. And the difference in shape is that guys will have, their legs will almost be vertical, and this is known as your tracking, of where your feet actually track. So guys' feet actually track apart, right? So the shoes of a guy's, they're not close together, they're apart. So you're standing here and here. So if you're a guy and you lift the foot, for example, your weight will shift. Your shoulders will shift over to place the weight over the supporting foot. For girls, it's kind of a little different. Their tracking is very close. Their feet almost touch when they walk. It's almost like they brush their shoes together as they walk. And that's what creates that diamond shape, if you would. So that's that's what I'm thinking when I'm looking at this. The first thing it struck me is that we just need to get that shape in there, and that'll help with the balance of the pose as well. So this is like a little bit of in-depth body mechanics I'm going into here, just to polish this out a bit more. This walk kind of is okay-ish. There would still be some work I'd do on it, but I'm not going to go into that. It's this piece here. And here you can see what I was talking about earlier. So you've got this leg that's vertical and this leg that is vertical, right? And what you'd want to do is you'd actually want to angle those in, right? You'd actually want to angle this in over here. And then, as you can see, she's got this hourglass shape. So she's got the shape that comes in, and then her hips go out, right? And then her legs come in. And that's a very feminine shape coming in there, which is what makes the character cool to work with, right? Is because you've got those shapes to work with. Now, let me just go back here. I messed up here a little, so I'm just going to undo. Where was that bad line? Well, I was all the way back in the beginning. Okay, let me try again. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to do this. Ching, ching. There we go. Okay, that's a bit better. I wasn't paying attention while I was talking because I was talking too much. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this kind of thing, you actually would feel the shape change. This hip would stick out a bit more. So you'd feel that shape change, you'd feel that hip, and that's the weight shift. That's that pendulum we're talking about. And you'd see one hip stick out one side, then it'd stick out the other side as she walks. Now with your walk cycle, she's a slender lady, so she's not going to swing her weight all the way over. She doesn't need to do that, just a little bit of weight over to one side and the other. So you're going to get a little bit of lateral movement and then the twisting of the rest of the mechanics of the walk. But essentially speaking, what I'm after on this one, and the reason why I picked up on this walk so strongly, trying to change it. You can see immediately just changing that, just getting that, like we discussed in the other shot, just getting this angle on the legs makes a big difference. Instead of having them both straight, just getting them angled in is going to make a big difference on her walk. Okay, so why I picked up on this, let me explain that, is this point here, where she comes in to talk to him. And this is the second part of body mechanics that I wanted to discuss with you. So this is like a little bit of another point here. Is if I was to take a vertical line, so we're assuming that one foot's here and the other foot's here, in the middle of her leg, right? If I was to extrapolate those down off the pavement and find where her feet are planted, that's kind of where it would be. So we're going to assume that the middle of her, where her balance is over here, right? And if I was to color one side in, if I was to come in and say, okay, let's see the visual balance of what we have with her. Let me just get another color in here. Okay, so that's the one side, and the other side is just this. And you can see which side has got more visual weight, and that means she's getting pulled over in this direction. She would fall over. So what to do? How do we fix this? So the way we fix this is just to change the shape of that leg. We're going to say, if I just change the shape of the supporting leg, if I come in here and I say that supporting leg is angled in, right, then what happens here is, and you can, let's say this leg's coming in there. Now that those feet are both sitting over here, right? And if we bring this back in and we go for a vertical line, hold on. My bad. Ding, 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 ding. There we go. I didn't have my line tool on because I'm drawing a long straight line here. Now, if we're going back in there and we say, okay, we're going to color this in, you'll see the visual balance is better. And on this side too. You'll see it's more balanced just by changing the shape of that leg. So just by paying attention to the tracking of the feet, bringing those feet closer in together, and understanding the mechanics of those hips moving over from side to side, you can see how it balances the body out. And that'll make a difference in the tactile quality, make the animation a little bit more believable. So you essentially, your performance is great, and that's fantastic. Just a bit of mechanics and you'd be cooking with gas. Okay, and I think I had one more thing I wanted to discuss with you, which was the, it was just the opposing forces I wanted to discuss a little bit here on this opening shot here. So this opening shot here, what you're selling here as you come in, the first thing you read is it's a stroller, and it's a baby. So you're reading baby stuff because you see the pacifier, you see the stroller, and your colors are great. You've chosen a purple stroller and the complementary color for the pacifier. So that's working fantastically well. And you think it's a baby on first glance because it's a bald head, but then you notice the black eye sockets and then you realize, oh, you're not looking at a baby, you're looking at a skull. You read that fairly quickly. And then your second idea here, once you get to like 1 second into the shot, is the idea that he's hiding. And you sell that idea, but I think we could plus that idea just one little bit. So essentially what I'm noticing here on this one is that it's an under arc. So he comes in this way, right? So he brings his head in and looks up and then lifts the blanket, which is fine. I don't really have a problem with it that much. But I just wanted to try something a little bit different here. And what I wanted to go for here is, instead of going under arc, maybe we go over arc. Maybe we over arc it. So maybe his head comes the other way. So instead of going underneath, he goes over. So what that does is allows you the opportunity to do counter movement with the blanket, and it will read more like he's hiding. So this is just an acting note, really. So what I'd do on this one is that I'd have him look, and then he comes over, right? And then he's like sees something, so they can still have that eye. So he comes over, and then he goes, hunkers down. And that idea of him bringing his head down and the hands opposing that action by going in the opposite direction feels more to me like he's hiding instead of like holding up a board in front of him. So that's just that idea. That's just what I was thinking. If it was my shot, that's something I'd try out. Oh, and then her here on this, where she's talking here, what you could try here, I just wanted to talk a little bit about lip sync, is, let's see what she's saying. I just want to try and hear what she's saying again. Well, ow. She goes, well, ow. Well, ow. So well is like, well, ow. So it's almost like squish, stretch, right, with the face. Well, ow. Well, ow. So it's like, well, ow. Now remember, we had the movement with him coming in, because we had that big head over here, then we had his head. If we change the composition, it goes here, and that energy can come around to her, and that's what it does. So you actually want her action to pick up where he lives, where that cut works. So as you come into the cut, and you've got it working, but I would delay her. She could actually come down as he comes. So you know, as he's moving here, you can see that movement happen. Now, if we position him over here and that movement happens, right, your eye is thrown up here to come to her, and if she came down as he's coming up here, so you just need to time that a little bit more. So I'd have her on the eye, I'd have her come up so she's just a few frames later in terms of coming, and that'll buy you a little bit more time for that. So, and feel the kinetic energy in your own body as you act it out. So if you go and you feel like it's like boom da, it's just that beat, boom da, take that as a compliment, and that word take is at the top of the arc, and then she comes in and finishes the rest. And I think that's something to explore as well, and that'll really plus it. Cool. Well, hopefully this has been informative for you. I hope I helped you in some way, or just made you think a little bit more about plussing stuff and bringing it just that little bit level higher if you possibly can. That's what you're aiming for. That's what we all aim for. Whether we've been doing it for like 1 year or 50 years, it's still the same thing. It's just like, if we can just make it that little bit better, and I think you've already got a fantastic piece, as I said. And to me, it's like 90% of the way there. This is that last 10%, just finding in these little things. And for myself personally, when I dive into a piece, sometimes I'm too close to it and somebody has to come and point stuff out for me, and I'm really grateful when that happens, because it's like, oh cool, I can plus it, I can change something and fill it out. But you've got to be careful. You can't just listen to any old stuff that comes along. You've got to have stuff that's helpful, Cool, man. Awesome, Yuri. You have a great one, and I'll see you. I'll see you around campus if you join Animation Mentor, hopefully. If not, I'll catch you whenever I see you. You got it, man. You have a good one. Cheers.